How's everyone doing this morning? Awesome, good stuff. Well, I got a chance to hear turn on, good point. 2 seconds, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now? All right, let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing this morning? Awesome. Thank you again, Pastor Jordan, for putting this together. And I believe that deserves a really strong appreciation because Pastor Jordan did not have to do this. He did this out of the kindness of his heart to be able to give back to those who are interested in doing a little bit more than where they are. All right, so that deserves a round of applause. Do you guys agree? All right, absolutely. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and go through my background real quick so that way you kind of hear my story. And I believe stories are very important because stories inspire us to become better than where we are today, because I heard a whole bunch of stories growing up. That's what inspired me to go and not be complacent, okay? In fact, the good book has a whole bunch of stories. Would you agree? Okay, okay. So my story is that I'm the firstborn here in the United States. My parents are from Vietnam. My father fought in the South Vietnamese Army, fighting for our freedom to get rid of the communist regime from taking over South Vietnam. Unfortunately, they failed, and around 1978, 1979, during all the persecution and the occupation and so forth, they were forced to escape from Vietnam after the occupation and left on my grandfather's fishing boat to go to Malaysia to a refugee camp to look for better opportunity. While in Malaysia, they were there for about 6 months, finding a way to just make a better life for their family. Now, I wasn't born yet, okay? But they were there for 6 months trying to apply for different locations. One was in England, one was in the United States, and one was in Australia. And there were 3 options you're supposed to choose from. And my father, on 1, 2, 3, chose the United States, United States, United States. He was very persistent about coming to the land of opportunity, okay? And God, and God be the glory, we were sponsored by a church up in Buffalo, New York, okay? My parents grew up as Buddhists, all right? But I was baptized in the Lutheran church, and I became Christian, and I decided to stay in Christianity later on when I grew up and decided for myself on which faith I'm going to follow. Okay, so that's where I started, and then grew up in Buffalo, New York, in the land of the snow, right? I'm married with 5 beautiful children. We also have 5 fish and 1 dog, all right? So I want to give you guys the layout there. My education, my parents were school teachers back in Vietnam, all right? My father was a principal of a high school. My mom was a school teacher, and that's how they met. And I always preached that go to school, get good grades, and go get a good what? You guys heard that before, haven't you? So we got the same parents, right? So they teach the same thing, whether in Vietnam or the United States, right? Okay, I did those things, okay? I followed that advice. I got my bachelor's degree in engineering, all right? I also got my master's degree in engineering, just in case the bachelor's didn't work out. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? But I realized along the way, I thought the key to success was to be smart, which is why I chose the hardest field of engineering, that's aerospace engineering. Okay, but what would you rather say this morning, gentlemen and ladies? I am smart, or I is a millionaire? Second's a whole lot better, would you agree? Okay, so I realized that although my education was great, it got me a high-paying job, I was not a millionaire, okay? And I could not do the things I wanted to do financially, okay? In addition, I worked at corporate America, and I was very successful there. I worked at the Homeland Security, I worked at NASA at the age of 18. I was a student engineer working on the Mars space program. And worked at Lockheed Martin. Did so many good things that on the outside people thought as successful. But guess what? Those things did not produce the results I wanted, and I'll go through that a little later, okay? Because they did not produce the results I wanted, I started looking for other opportunities in addition to my full-time job. I did other businesses on the side just to learn how to become a business person, because in school, engineering school especially, they don't teach you how to do a business. Would you agree? Okay, and I realized when I walk into a building that does not have my name on it, I'm not leaving a legacy for my kids. Would you also agree? Okay, because when I go, I don't leave anything behind other than whatever I have left in my bank account, right? All right, so to add to that, I founded Fortune Homes team back in 2011 on a part-time basis while still working for corporate America. All right, my success in corporate America was good, but it did not produce the results that I wanted. And these were the results I wanted. And let me know if this is asking too much, okay? I wanted to be able to be a stay-at-home parent, to be a good father and a good parent for my kids. Is that too much to ask? No, okay? I also want to be able to retire my parents because they came over in their late 40s and did not have enough time to plan for their retirement. Is that too much to ask? No. My wife's parents, who are also immigrants in the United States from the Philippines, did not work here, and therefore the money that coming over from the Philippines is not as valuable as here, and I want to help them out. Is that too much to ask? No. But would you agree the average American cannot do those 3 things right here? They cannot. right? So if they cannot do that, would you agree you have to follow a different path to be able to accomplish those things that other people have not? Absolutely, okay? So within 2.5 years of doing real estate, we had 12 deals, residential deals in Northern Virginia while still working on my full-time job. Successful deals, was able to retire from my full-time job in 2013 and been a stay-at-home parent ever since then, all right? So I want to share with you guys why I chose real estate, all right? Right now, would you all agree that the population continues to grow through birth and through immigration here in the United States? Okay, so here's the population chart, all right? From 1920s until today, that's a steady growth, and is it going to stop anytime soon? No, okay? Would you agree that medicine's getting better? Also, longevity is getting better, right? So therefore, the population will continue to increase. One day, we're going to run out of land. Would you agree? Okay, that trend continues, okay? But also, because we're a humane species, would you agree that every human being since the dawn of time have always needed shelter? Yes. Okay, so we all started here back in the day, huts. Well, actually, before that was caves, right? Then we moved to huts, all right? The standard of living continues to improve every single generation. Would you agree the way we all grew up? See, I'm one of 5 siblings. We grew up, family of 7, in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, 1 level, okay? Would you agree that today, kids do not accept that? You mean I got to share my bathroom with my sibling? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so the standard of living continues to improve every generation. So we went from huts to these things, right, during colonial America, and then these things in the 1800s where you have your horse in front, now you look rich, right? You know what I'm talking about? All right, and then we moved on to the early 1900s to have something like this. These were built in the early 1900s, 1930s, 1940s, all right? These are houses you can see in Arlington, Falls Church, and so forth. But then nowadays, these typically are 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Okay? But people want this nowadays. Same location, high-value location, but a better house with more bathrooms, and especially the parents want a master bathroom. They don't want to share with their kids anymore. Right? I don't know why, but I'm used to sharing with my kids all the time. In fact, my kids share with ours all the time. They still sleep with us, the little ones, okay? In addition to that, tax advantages, okay? Real estate's one of the few opportunities where you get huge tax advantages because the government incentivizes investors to be able to do certain things in the marketplace. If those advantages were not there, those things would not be done in the economy, okay? Also, controlled income growth. When I say controlled income growth, how many here would like to control your own income? Okay, how many have a full-time job right now? Raise your hand. Can you go to your job right now and your boss on Monday morning and say, I want to control my income? What are they going to say to you? They're going to do just that. They're going to laugh at you, right? Would you agree? Right? They're like, what are you smoking? No, we are going to have controlled income growth. This is one of the few opportunities where we can control that growth, okay? So the reasons why people don't do real estate is the dollar amount for a piece of real estate in the Northern Virginia area especially is very high. Would you agree? It scares people. The average cost here in Sterling is about what, $300,000? Is that about right? Okay. $300,000. How long does it take for an average person to earn $300,000? A lot of years, right? And would you agree if you have to work a lot of years to earn $300,000 to buy a house, would that scare you if you made the wrong decision? Absolutely. I still remember when I was in college, I was looking at real estate when I was 21 years old. I was so scared, all right? I was still going for a master's degree. I looked at a piece of real estate. It was a rental property, $100,000. I was scared to death because there were 6 digits. One common 6 digits scared the heck out of me, right? But nowadays, that's like chump change because we understand more than I did before when I was 21 years old, okay? Also, people don't think they have enough capital. Most people, because of the dollar amount, they think they cannot have enough capital. But would you agree, if you can find the money, you would probably do this? Yes. Yes, absolutely, okay? Also, don't know where to start. Just like for me, when I went to engineering, I didn't know where to start. That's why I went to college. All right, and then when I went on a job, there was on-field training, right? On-the-field training. So here, there is a place where you know how to start is through us, okay? Because I also fear of failure. Most people are scared of failing more than risking something to get a reward. All right? Just think, why do we have the mentality as adults? My kids, right now, I'm teaching them how to ride a bike. When they fall off the bike, and they will, would you all agree? Will they get up and do it again? Without fail, after they stop crying, right? So we as adults, for some reason, when we fail, we cry and stay crying, never get back up. Why can't we not have the child mentality again? The child's faith attitude to keep on persisting regardless of what happened. Does that make sense? All right. Also, lack of education and a proven system. We're going to go through that, okay? The market needs this. Locally, in the DMV area, the DC metropolitan, Maryland, Virginia area, we have a lot of houses in demand, but a lot of the homes are outdated. Would you agree? Okay? Inside the Beltway alone, would you agree that most people would rather live there because it's closer to work? It's closer to entertainment and recreation. It's closer to education, closer to everything, right? And inside the Beltway, it's more expensive than outside the Beltway. There's high demand, but yet all the houses inside the Beltway are most likely on average of 60 to 70 years old. All right? But most people don't want to live in that one-bathroom house anymore. Would you agree? But they still want to live in that location. So therefore, what you need to do is take those houses when they're outdated, buy them, renovate them, and make them to today's standard, okay? Newer generations expect higher standards. We provide that. We also need investors that provide this service for the market who have a servant heart. All right? Would you agree here in church? At least it should be. We all should have a servant heart. Absolutely. I've done business for a long time, whether it be in real estate or outside real estate. Would you agree out there are bullies out there? There are also people out there who are in business. They're out to get their own and share nothing. All right? And they're also very cutthroat. They'd rather see you drown than help you lift up. All right? For me, my mentality is a little different. Instead of competing with my competitors, I want to give them a helping hand because there's so many houses, I can't do it all. Why can't I share the piece of the pie instead of grabbing the pie for myself? If I eat the whole pie, guess what's going to happen to me? You know what I mean? Okay, I want to share it with the rest of the population because I can't do it all by myself. And some people say, yeah, well, if you train this to people, will you be creating your own competition? I say, if I'm worried about competition, that means I'm insecure. Do I look insecure? No. People out there in business who actually make more money than us are afraid of competition. They may make more money, but they're insecure. Which mentality would you rather have? The more money or the confidence in yourself? The confidence. That is, there's no value on that. Would you agree? Okay. In addition to that, the different facets of real estate. All right. Single-family home rehabbing. You haven't here seen HGTV? Okay. So pretty much we do the similar thing, but there is no drama. Okay. Because we're not a TV show. We don't need ratings. Okay. Single unit rentals, okay? Also land development, such as new construction and buying a piece of land and developing a community out of it, and also a multifamily apartment building. Now, each of these topics here involve a lot of detail, so because of the shortage of time, we'll only go through the first two examples. Single family rehabbing, because everyone sees that on HGTV, and also single unit rentals, because our mind, on average, can bear what that means, okay? So we'll go start that real quick. How do we do rehabbing at single unit rentals? First of all, what we're doing is, notice what I did here is I put the word help, okay? We're helping homeowners in bad situation. When we say help, it means we're providing a service and helping someone through a problem and giving them a solution. Once you put a solution in the marketplace, you can create financial results. Would you agree? Okay? In fact, I truly believe that your monetary byproduct should be a proportion of what kind of value and solution you give to solve the problem in the marketplace. Okay? So think about it, right? When we live through life, will people go through health issues? Yes, right? It's only a matter of time, okay? Will people go through probate? For those who don't know what probate is, it's when a homeowner passes away and now goes to the heirs of the property, okay? Goes through probate, all right? Does that happen? Can you stop that from happening? God's calling you, okay? So it's going to happen, right? And one of these days it's going to happen. Financial hardship. If you live life, would you agree financial hardship happens every so often? Absolutely, okay? Non-local homeowners. These are people who may have inherited the property or maybe held it for a long time, but they don't live locally because their parents used to live here. And also there's people out there who, what I call, they try this business without training, so they're burnt out landlords. They do it all themselves without appropriate training. They get burnt out because they don't know what to do, and now they just want to liquidate everything because they just got burnt out, okay? They have tenants who don't pay. They have tenants who mess up the place. They bought the house at the market high. They're not cash flowing. The mortgage is higher than the rent. A whole bunch of things, all right? They just don't know what they're doing because they did not have the proper training. So we want to help homeowners in bad situations, okay? These things here lead to what we call a motivated seller. Now, each one of us who've lived life, we've been a motivated seller for something in our life, okay? How many here have ever owned something in your house, you just want to flat out get rid of it? Okay, can you name a few things? Like maybe that old refrigerator, right? Or maybe that junk car, or maybe that old TV that's like a tube. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so there's some stuff there, and people post on Craigslist, say, take this for free off my hands, and people still don't take it, right? Those are motivated sellers, okay? So houses and property are no different, okay? When people own a piece of property that's a problem and they don't want to deal with it, they become motivated, and therefore they can sell to you at a discount instead of giving you fair market value for that, all right? So let me give you guys a couple of examples and share some pictures, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. Is that right? Yeah. Here's a property that we did in Falls Church. Let me give you the story behind it. This is a Hispanic homeowner, and for whatever reason, he owned a contracting business. He had a whole bunch of junk back there in his backyard. This is the backyard of the house, by the way. And he had 8 people, 8 families living in this place. 2,000 square foot rambler. There's 8 bedrooms in there. He was renting it out, but yet he was not paying his mortgage for 3 years. How can you live there for 3 years for free, still collect the rent? That's what he did. Okay. Well, what happened was that I went into the house. The reason why he wasn't paying it was because he was way underwater. His mortgage was like $500,000 or $600,000, but the value is like $280,000, $300,000. That's why he stopped paying. But he still collected rent, which wasn't right. But that's what he did. Okay. So what we did is we got it via what's called a short sale. We negotiated with the bank and said we're going to buy at this rate because of all these problems, and we got it for $280,000. And look what we did to this. You know, we had some old windows here. We have a whole lot of junk here, a whole lot of grass. We had a piece of concrete that was randomly there, okay? And inside, the kitchen was very outdated, but here's what we did outside. You guys ready for the next picture? So this is before, this is after. All right, can you believe that's the same house? All right, so the same exact house, all we did was add a little fence, change the door, paint the floors and paint the brick here, add a little limestone over here, plant some grass, right? And then put some trees here, and then make it look very nice and power wash the roof. Is that hard to do? No. For me, physically, probably so, but that's why you hire people. Does that make sense? Okay. The great thing about real estate, in addition to providing a good service for homeowners, you're also providing a good service for those who want a job, okay? The business owners create opportunity for others who are not taking a risk on themselves. So we hired a whole handful of people who did this job and got paid very well for doing a quality job, okay? Here's another example. This is a townhouse in Woodbridge. This is a lead we got for one of our students who was very involved in ministry, okay? She got this lead because she knew the person in the ministry who actually passed away, and there are 3 kids who heired to the property. And she negotiated this with the homeowners and told them all these problems because it was vacant for a very long time. When the house is vacant for a very long time, things start smelling pretty bad. Would you agree? Okay, mold starts growing and things get really bad. Okay, so we bought this house in Woodbridge, all right, and we removed everything because all this stuff is outdated. Okay, so this is after during the renovation when we removed everything. So just imagine going to a house with no kitchen. That's what it looked like after about a week. That's called demolition. We demoed everything, removed all the cabinets, removed, in fact, yeah, see this box up here? Okay, we removed the box up there, right? Because what we want to do is put, instead of 36-inch cabinets, we put 42-inch cabinets. Because would you agree that today's standards, people want cabinet space, right? Now, I can never reach that high, but most people do. I'm not selling to myself, right? Okay, but the average person can reach that high, okay? Saying, yes, we're ready for the next picture. This is what it turned into. Same exact kitchen, same exact position, the refrigerator, same exact spot, stove, the same exact spot, everything was in the same exact spot. All we did was change the cabinets. We installed recessed lights, so that way when we turn on the lights, everything brightens up, and also ceramic tile in diagonal pattern at the bottom. And all these drawers right here are what we call soft close drawers. How many here ever heard of soft close drawers? Okay, when you pull it out and slam it, what happens? It's soft close. So what I call that is anger proof. So I've been married for a while, so I know how things come happen, right? So the first thing to go is the drawer. So now your drawers will never be damaged again if you upset your spouse, okay? It's a very small investment, but it's well worth it. All right, here's another example. Here's a house we did in Manassas, okay? This is a house that was built in 2001, and the story of this one is that the person who owned it, the husband had passed away due to medical reasons, and the surviving wife was going through dementia, okay? So there's 2 surviving daughters who's in care of the mom. But the problem is that because of her medical needs, they could not take care of her. They needed to put her in an assisted living care so that way she can get the attention that she needs. Well, they found out the assisted living care costs $7,000 per month. They did not qualify for public assistance because there was too many assets, okay? So would you agree that these sisters were very motivated to get some cash out of this house to help their mom get into assisted living home. Absolutely, very motivated, okay? So we bought this house, okay? For some reason, the refrigerator is missing. I don't know why, but we didn't need it anyways because we're going to replace it as a brand new appliance anyways. Here's after. Okay, so we have marble backsplash, we have a granite countertop, ceramic tiles, and brand new cabinets. Again, all soft close drawers, all right? But in the same exact location, not very hard to do. We installed recessed lights and pendant lights to brighten up the whole room, and also installed lights underneath the cabinets, which is also not hard as well. Okay? Can you guys see yourself doing this? Yes. Okay, now don't forget, for those gentlemen for the people who are used to doing it yourself, the DIY people, I challenge you never to pick up a hammer. Never. I had trouble with that because I'm an engineer. I was used to doing things myself, but I had to let that go. Here's why. How much is the value of your hourly wage when you pick up a hammer? How much? What's the average hammer person? I'm not talking about Thor, okay? I'm talking about... All right? $10, $12 an hour is the value of a person basic carpentry. All right? Your value should not be $12 an hour. You are worth more than that. All right? In fact, what is the average hourly wage of a white-collar worker here in Northern Virginia? $50, $60 an hour? So that produces about what, 70, 80K a year? Is that the average salary? When you do this business, that is not good enough. Your value should be $700 to $1,000 per hour. If you are not doing $700 per hour worth of work, you got to get up, stop doing that, and do the right thing to earn that kind of income. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, here's the reason why people don't think they're worth that much. Because each one of you guys may not have given yourself permission to earn that much. Because you ask yourself, who am I to earn that kind of money? Would you agree? Because we were brought up with certain conditioning. Yes. But you got to ask yourself, who am I not to earn that kind of income? And it's not about the money. Money is not the thing that you're going for. It's what you can do with that money that changes everything. Right? So what does the good book say? The love of money is the root of all evil. Notice what he said in the fine print. The love of money, of the actual idol, the money, not what you can do with the money. If you made more money, could you tithe more to your church? If you made more money, could you put your kids in better schools? If you made more money, could you buy better housing for your family? Absolutely. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing. Give yourself permission, all right? All right, let's give an example. How many here are numbers people? Let's hear some numbers, okay? All right. So we have a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house in Manassas. That's the one we showed earlier. The $2 I shared earlier had a power of attorney over the house, needed to take care of the surviving mom. They need cash ASAP to, and they are aware there's a lot of issues with the property. There's some mold growing, things were outdated, and there's a whole lot of medical equipment left in the property that needs to be disposed of legally, okay? So here's the purchase price. We told them we can close in 2 weeks, and you can get your cash in 2 weeks in the bank account to take care of your mom if we accept this price here, okay? $200,000. The closing cost was roughly $5,000 on average, okay, calculated on average. Renovation cost was roughly $56,000 to renovate the kitchen, renovate one of the bathrooms, and then finish the basement, add 2 more bedrooms and 2 more bathrooms in the basement, okay? Total holding cost, a holding cost is basically the cost that the expense you accrued while you hold the property, such as taxes, such as insurance, such as utilities, HOAs, and also interest and mortgage payments that you have on the property. Okay, so 3 months is $25,000. Now that's a very expensive loan, but it doesn't matter because we were able to close in 2 weeks. If we were to get a regular mortgage in Bank of America, it would take too long. So we had to get a private loan, which is more expensive, but we got a huge discount on the property. Okay, so the resale cost, which is closing costs on the resale side, plus any agent commission that you pay to your agents, so about $24,000. The total sale cost was $417,000. We held it for roughly 3 months. Once you do all the math and expense everything that's expense, right, total profit on this deal was $107,000. Nice. So you guys act like that's normal. Nice. That ain't normal. Not when I was working a full-time job and made almost a little bit more than that just per year. This is just one deal. All right? Now, if you had that extra money in your bank account, could you wake up a little happier? Would you look forward to waking up now instead of dragging yourself out of bed? Your attitude completely changes. Would you agree? Okay. Now, I mind you, this was not. This was my very first deal. I thought it was very hard, but after the first deal, it got easier and easier and easier because now you know what you're doing. Just like anything, the first time you do anything, it's hard. But once you get it, you got it. Okay? Now, let's go through an example of a single unit rental. How many here have always thought about buying a rental property and renting it out? Okay? How many here have not done a rental property? Raise your hand. Now, what's the reason why you have not done it? What's your fear? Not knowing how? Yeah. Scared of maybe collecting from the tenant because you don't want to bill collector, right?
Or like the contract part of it.
The contract part, the legal part of it, right? Okay. So fair enough. Okay. So I don't know everything too. I am not the jack of all. Oh, I'm not the jack of all trades. I want a good team who knows what they're doing, and all I do is find a deal, negotiate a deal, and put everything in place. Right. That is my specialty. Right. Okay. I structure it so that way everyone else on my team can make money. I said, I know this guy's gonna make money on the loan, this guy's gonna make money on the property management, this guy's gonna make money on the renovation, and I'm happy. If I help 3 people make money, I'm happy. Right? What's Zig Ziglar say? If you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. Right? All right, so here's how this works. Long distance and DIY landlord, do it yourself. And when you work with a do-it-yourself seller, he has a special mentality. He thinks he knows it all, so I let him talk. Even though they're wrong, just let them talk, okay? I walk through it and say, yep, I did this, and yep, that was me. I did that baseboard. And I know it's done wrong, but it's like, good job. Okay, that's okay. Your job is to help them feel good about a situation and then get a good deal and help them get out of a bad situation. They were burnt out because these tenants kept on, I guess, maybe, actually he was burnt out because he had 22 properties and he wanted to unload a few at a time, okay? He was getting older. He was a retired Marine. He was 77 years old, and he wanted to start retiring, okay? He was not used to hiring a property manager. He just always wanted to do it all himself. So that's what happened. So here's how we turned everything together. So the tenant was been there for about 10 years, if I remember correctly. The tenant also is currently paying $1,600 per month. Turnkey simply means that I am buying the house with the tenant inside it, and I don't have to do anything with it. That's what turnkey means, okay? When I first saw this turnkey phrase, I thought it said turkey. You say, what's that, Thanksgiving? But I said, oh, there's another letter. There's turnkey, turnkey. Okay, turnkey. You turn the key over. All right. The purchase price was $150,000, and I told him that I had to purchase that because you just did it all yourself and did it wrong. All right. So we know that when the tenant vacates, we have to fix all that stuff. But I did it in a very respectful manner, and he understood that. Okay. But I gave him, I kind of gave him the compliment, all right, that he did do it himself because most people would not do it. So the way we financed it is we got our first mortgage was financed at 80% of the purchase price. 80% of $150 is $120,000, okay? And then we negotiated with the seller and say, hey, listen, seller, I know you don't want all your money now and this year because if you got all your money this year, all your capital gains will accrue this year in your tax bill. So what we did was we postponed 25% of his proceeds to the following year by doing seller financing. So we got an 80% loan for the mortgage, and had a 25% loan with the seller who financed it at this amount, all right? So here's the rest of the numbers. The strategy is that, the tenant will stay in place, and the lease is assigned to the new owner once we acquire it in settlement. This is what the HUD settlement looks like when you buy a property using a private loan. Here's what happens at the bottom down here. This is the buyer side, and this is the seller side, all right? If I zoom in right here, it says cash to borrower, which is me, the buyer, was $1,800. So what does that mean for you guys? We got $1,800 for buying the property. I want that to sink in for a second. Sink that in for a second, okay? We got paid for buying something. Does that make sense? Okay? If you can do this and have no money out of your pocket, would you do it all day long? Why wouldn't you? The question is, do you know how to, right? And here's the rest of the numbers. So we got cash back at closing of $1,800. The rent income was $1,600 on a monthly basis. The taxes and the insurance and the repairs and so forth, and also the mortgage payment added up to these numbers here. And the total cash flow actual was $229 per month. So not only did we get cash back at closing, it's cash flowing $200 a month. Yeah. Is that good or good? Good. Okay. And then to add insult to injury, because the tax code allows us to depreciate rental properties, we can depreciate the building materials inside the property year after year. And because of that, we depreciate off our taxable liability, which reduced our tax liability by roughly $200 per month, and now our real cash flow is $450 per month. Is that good or good? Okay. Can you guys see yourself doing that? Okay. It's not that hard, okay? Again, when the first one is hard, I must tell you that. But once you got it, okay? And then in addition to that, we had it appraised after we bought it, and it appraised for $230,000. Now, you remember, you add up the two mortgage amounts, the 120 plus the 37,500, you add it together, it's 157,500. You now have an instant equity in the property of $72,000. Which means what you've done is not only you got $1,800 back at closing, your cash flow $450 a month, you've increased your net worth by $70,000. How long does the average person take to increase their net worth by $70,000? How long does it take to increase your net worth $70,000 through the stock market? How long? How about a mutual fund? How about another business? How about selling candy, Girl Scout cookies, small business, mechanic? A long time. But this is what you call printing money out of thin air legally. You're not counterfeiting, you're just working the system. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, building wealth in real estate. All right, when you build wealth, I mean, there was a question earlier about how do you discipline yourself because you make more money, you tend to spend that more money, right? That's a great question, okay? So if I could build on that, all right? So the way to build wealth is to increase revenue and decrease expenses. It's a very simple math, right? You make more, spend less, right? But when you spend less, you got to take a look at what your current expenses are right now, okay? So you have to ask yourself, what is, personally, the average American, what is the current highest expense that they pay out on a regular basis? House? Let's go through the list. Okay, do you think it's food and groceries? No. How about car payment? No. Credit card, student loans? No. Entertainment, unless you're having really fun, a lot of fun, right? Okay. Mortgage and rent? What if I told you guys are all wrong? What would it be? Taxes. Woo! Taxes! Here's what I mean. Would you agree we live in a country? Yes. We also live in a state. Yes. We also live in a county. Yes. And all three charge the tax. So, here's how it breaks down. You get taxed when you earn. Yes. How many heard of federal income tax? Yes. State income tax? Yes. Medicare? Yes. Capital gains? Yes. FICA? Yes. Yes. You get taxed when you spend. Yes. How many heard? Communication tax? Yes. excise tax? Yes. Utilities tax? For smokers, alcohol tax? Yes. Drinkers, smokers, and sales tax when you buy stuff. Okay? Look at this. You get taxed when you live. Are you serious? Real estate tax. You guys heard of that? Yeah. Personal property tax. Do you pay for your tax on your car, your boat, and your motorcycle? Yeah. Yes. Gasoline. Did you know that gas has tax? Yeah. You just didn't know about that. Most people don't know. But what does that tax pay for? It's supposed to pay for the interstate highways. But yet, the interstate highways still charge a toll. Yeah. Makes no sense. Right? And then, to add further insult to injury, you get taxed when you die. Now, the great thing about the recent tax reform is that this estate tax has gone away. Okay? But before, since the beginning of the tax code, there was a death tax. It's insane. There's also an inheritance tax unless you structure your assets in a way, like a trust or so forth, that doesn't get taxed. Okay? So that is your number one. So here's the average numbers. Okay? If you add all these numbers together, 51% on average of Americans' incomes goes to the government. Half. Which means you're working 6 months out of the year for the federal, state, and local government. The remaining 6 months, 5 of those 6 months, guess who you're working for? The bank. Because the rest of it goes to your mortgage, your car debt, your credit cards, and installment plans, student loans. You'll be lucky if you work 1 month out of the year for yourself. And that's the average person who got a college degree working out there. Because they don't understand the value of having their own business. All right? The tax code is designed for business owners. But no one teaches that in school. And I teach that at my house to my kids because they don't know about that in school. And I encourage each one of you guys, if you guys have kids, teach your kids these things because they don't know that in school. They will never learn it. So the benefits of real estate is this. Tax advantages simply means you have legitimate business taxes. How many here have a cell phone? Okay? Everyone should be raising their hand. If you have a business and you now operate your cell phone out of your business, you now can deduct a portion of your cell phone. Your data plan and your talk time and your texting, everything. Okay? How about your computer? How many here have an in-home office? If you're operating a business out of your home, you can now deduct a percentage of your home's mortgage, your home's your HOA, utility bills, taxes, and so forth in that square footage percentage of that house. Okay? How many have kids who are 9 or older? How many here give an allowance to them? I encourage you guys to give them an allowance, but make sure they earn it and deserve it. Did you do the dishes? Did you mow the lawn? Did you help out at the business event? My 7-year-old daughter out there is right now helping out with the event in the booth out there. Okay? Now, she's not legally, I cannot expense her yet. She has to wait till she's 9 years old. But this is her training phase, okay? This is her training phase, okay? All right. Asset protection, all right? Asset protection simply means you're protecting your personal assets through the proper structures of corporations and limited liability companies. So when you run a real estate business, you are not buying under your name, and you better not. If you do, you risk liability to yourself personally. So if you did something, and you know, when you do well, it's amazing. When you do well, you're like a magnet for lawsuits. Absolutely. Right? And just people, you know, just think about the woman in the 90s who got $4 million from McDonald's because she spilled hot coffee on her lap. Yeah. People are litigious. They want free money. Okay? So when you do well, you will get sued. If you get sued, you better be ready. We have been sued as well. And thank God, when they sued, they got nothing. Okay? Because they sued the company, not us. We didn't lose our house. We didn't lose our car. I didn't lose my kids. My kids are still with me. Okay? Those are my assets, not liabilities. All right? Also, control growth through value add. When I say control growth, that means you control the destiny of that piece of asset. So you control the value add plan. You know, what are you going to do? Are you going to add a bathroom? Are you going to add a new roof? Are you going to add a new bedroom? Are you going to make the floor plan open? What value are you adding? You also control your margins through negotiating skills. If the margins are not good, you walk away. Because it does not make sense to do a deal that is not profitable. Would you agree? Right. If you do that too often, you go out of business. Well, some people say, Nhan, well, you don't need to make all this money, right? Say, look, I am a charitable person. I am very charitable. But I cannot be charitable unless there's a profit. Does that make sense? Okay, so when I say that, it makes sense that, oh, okay, well, I guess the company needs to make a profit first before he ties back to me or to whatever, right? So, because some people want everything, and they don't understand that you have to make a profit. Also, you control how much capital you raise. So how much money do you want to put in? How much money you don't want to put in? For me, I'd rather put $0 into my own money because I have 5 kids and 2 are in college. Make sense? Yeah. Okay? Also, ask yourself this, all right? How many here bank at a big bank like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and so forth? When you walk in to do a teller deposit or a teller transaction, do people approach you to sell stuff? Right? Okay, next time that happens, I want you guys to do this, okay? Walk into the bank and be slow about it and have someone approach you to have them sell you something, okay? And say, okay, you can sell me something. I need a loan right now, and they're going to ask what the purpose of the loan is. It's like, well, I want a loan right now so that way I can use this money to buy stocks and mutual funds. You think they're going to approve that loan? Why?
Because that's what they use your money for.
Well, why do banks not loan for stocks and mutual funds, but they sell that all day long? They don't believe in their own asset. It's because it's not controlled. If you invested, let's say in a company like, you know, let's say Amazon, and they got sued by the federal government, can you control that? No. If the board of directors and the CEO made a bad decision, can you control that? No. All right? What can you control? And the answer is nothing. So one day it'd be good, one day it'd be bad, but you cannot control that. That's why banks do not loan for stocks and mutual funds. But they will loan on what? Houses all day long. That's called a clue. If the banks will loan for something, that's called a clue. That's what you should focus on. Does that make sense? Okay? There's a reason for everything. It's all been right there in front of us, but we haven't stopped to think about why things are being done the way they are. Yes. Make sense? Okay? All right, success mindset. Your financial rewards are directly proportional to the value you put in the marketplace. Okay, what kind of value do you give in the marketplace? You want to focus on high value activities and build a strong team. I mentioned earlier, what should your average hourly rate be? 700. Have you guys given yourself permission to do that? Yes. Go home right now, and if you're married, go talk to your spouse and say, honey, I'm worth $700 an hour. Make sure she doesn't laugh. If she does laugh, that's okay. If he laughs, that's okay. Time to prove something wrong. It's a good challenge for your marriage. It's a healthy competition, okay? All right? Help others get what they want, and you will get what you want. I love that, okay? I don't want to take from people. I want to provide to people, and in turn, my byproduct is success for myself, okay? And the reason why with that mindset, in 2014, after we got full-time, we began to pay it forward and helping others do what we do by creating an education company, all right? We also want to prevent newbies from falling into the trap of predatory real estate training companies. How many here have ever gotten an advertisement, either social media, in the mail, or in your email, to go to these free workshops? Okay? When you go to the free workshops, what do they usually do? Give you free water, right? Number one. Free water. That's number one. At least you got bagels here today, okay? You got free water today, okay? You got free water, but when you go in there, what happens? They give you just enough to get you interested, and then what? Okay, and how much that usually cost? Okay, so several $1,000s, right? So they usually sell a 3-day boot camp or something like that, right? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, how many here have ever had the courage to buy one of those products? Okay, we have one testimony here. So when you went to that training, on Saturday afternoon, what happened?
They upsold to something much more that was like.
Oh, that was Sunday, but on Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. But Saturday afternoon, did they teach you how to increase your credit lines?
Yes.
Yes, they said if you do this script with Bank of America's credit card, you can increase your credit line from $10,000 to $50,000. If you call your line of credit, you increase your credit from $10,000 to $50,000, and so forth. They teach you to increase your credit lines. And then the next day, Saturday morning, they recognized everyone who got a huge credit line increase. It made them feel good. And then what happened Sunday afternoon? They sold you the Big Mama class, right? And how much was the Big Mama class?
It was like $24,000.
$24,000. Now that's cheap. That was cheap. $24,000 is not bad.
They had like 2 different levels.
Oh, 2 different levels. Oh, is that a cheap level? Oh, that's a cheap level. That's a cheap level. Okay. But I had some students approach me and said, Nhan, I wish I met you 2 years ago. I said, well, why? What happened? For the last 2 years, I've paid over $177,000 in training and still have not done a deal. Wow. And the reason for their failure is all their trainers and mentors were long distance. They're in Florida, they're in Vegas, they're in California, they're in Boston, right? Utah, there you go. Okay, they're everywhere else but here. So how will they know this market? And how can you find them when you need them? See, for us, we have a training company here in Fairfax, Virginia. We know where we live. We can't hide from you, but they can. They'll take that money and run, okay? They're gonna give you what's called perceived value, and that's it, okay? So we don't charge $24,000, okay? All right? We help average people reach above average results in their real estate business. I want you guys to take that word average out of your mentality right now, because each one of you guys today, just because you showed up on a Saturday morning, you are not average. 80% of your success is just by showing up. That's what I've been told by one of my mentors who earned billions of dollars every single, he's worth billions of dollars, okay? But he said, Nhan, just showing up is 80% of your success. So congratulate yourself. Give yourself a round of applause for just showing up this morning, all right? We want to develop the next wave of successful investors who have a servant heart. I've dealt with people who just do things wrong and they cutthroat you. And they do it just for their own greed, all right? Greed is not a good emotion. Would you all agree? Okay? Generosity is a better emotion. Okay? So we want to create a next wave of investors, next generation, who have a servant heart, who are a little bit more generous than those out there. Create win-win situations. Okay? Win-win relationships. Also, I truly believe, and I live by this, that success is not measured by how much money is made, but instead how many people you've helped along the way to achieve that same success. Okay? So how many people have you helped along the way achieve the same success? When you go to your grave, who's going to be at your, when you go to your grave, which will be one day, all right, how many people will be at your funeral, and will they care about you? How many lives have you touched along the way and created a positive impact for them and your future generation to come? If you've done a good job, your funeral should be crowded. If you have not done a good job, your funeral will not be as crowded, and it'll be a low-cost funeral. Okay? Does that make sense? I just want to put it in perspective. Is that okay to say? All right? So going on, guys, today is October 13th. In 2 weeks, all right, the timing couldn't have been better for this event, because in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a rehab and boot camp to teach more in detail what we just talked about. For 2 straight days, we will not be talking about how to pay $24,000. We're going to be talking about how to do deals here in the local DC metropolitan area, okay? We're going to talk about marketing strategies. We're going to talk about how to value property, how to get analyze deals. We're going to give you access to all of our contracts. You mentioned contracts earlier, all right? See, me, I spend thousands of dollars on contract development with my lawyers that will work in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And that goes to you as a student, okay, free of charge. How to find funding. We're going to visit properties together. I think this is one of the most valuable ones, because, how do you know what a real deal looks like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? right? What does it feel like when you walk in there? What's the ambience? You'll know once you go to one of our properties, okay? Also, renovation techniques, getting access to our preferred vendors. Also, I think this is going to be very high value high value as well. Preferred vendors is so valuable because in the last 7 or 8 years, I've built a very successful team. But along the way, at the beginning, I've also used the wrong people. And while using the wrong people, I've lost close to $500,000. Can I prevent that lesson for you guys? How many here want to prevent that $500,000 lesson? Okay, so we used wrong contractors, we used wrong lenders, we used wrong lawyers, we used wrong everything, but we learned along the way, okay? So throughout the 7 years, 8 years we've been doing this, all that bad stuff, all the bad people, you will not have to worry about because we already have the successful network in place, okay? And I could not put a price tag on that because that's very valuable. Every deal that you do, we want to average a profit of $50,000 per deal, okay? Lunch is provided both days, and the reason why I say lunch is because it's very valuable. In order to feed you mentally, you must be fed physically. Right? And we always do a survey at the end of every training. And at the end, under the other section, they always say food is great. It's like they remember the food more than the training. The food is really good. We don't second class the food, okay? The cost is $14.99 for you and a spouse. For those who are single, not married, you have 2 weeks to get married, okay? Pastor Jordan, you're available, okay? Get your money's worth, okay? And we get access to vetted deals. And this money, we don't want your $1,500. We want to give this money back to you. Because $1,500 is nothing. It's chump change. We want to do a deal with you and win together with you, so that way you get paid and we get paid and you get this $1,500 back. Wow. Did those people give you an offer to refund $24,000 back? No. We will. All you gotta do is use that as incentive to go do what you're supposed to do, become successful, and then you get that money back. And after you do your first deal, you can choose to stick with us or go do things on your own. It's up to you. But you keep all the templates, you keep all the tools, you keep even our t-shirt, you keep everything, okay? You keep everything. But most people do want to stick with us because they like our culture and they like the team environment. Does that make sense? They'd rather do something with a team rather than do it with themselves. And I love sharing stories, all right? We, the last almost 4 years now, we've trained over 300 students, and so many have become successful. Lee Johnson, he has a background in technical sales. He attended our rehab and boot camp. He followed our system and got his first deal in 30 days after the boot camp. 30 days, okay? Total profit was $48,000 on his first deal, and since then, he's gone to complete other deals as well, okay? Very successful. Matthew Wallstrom, his family with 2 kids. He has a background as a real estate agent, okay? So he had a little bit of experience in real estate already, but not as an investor. His first deal, he got in within 2 months, and his profit on that first deal with Alexandria was $55,000, okay? Is that okay to earn? That's good. That's good, right? We have Gene Gamble. He lives in, actually close to the Potomac River. His background is in engineering, just like me. I remember engineers are more skeptical than anybody else. Would you agree? He called me up and said, I want to meet with you at Panera Bread. I was like, okay. So I met with him, and he drilled me just to make sure that I was real, okay? So after the skepticism was over, he attended our boot camp to challenge himself further, and he completed 3 deals on a part-time basis, making over $110,000 that year. Okay? The reason why it was a little lower than $50,000 per year was because he was doing some smaller properties in PG County. Okay, so the smaller the property, the smaller the profit. But yet, would you take $110,000 on a part-time basis? Yes. Absolutely, okay? By the way, all these people here have gotten the $1,500 back. Okay? They all got it all back. Ethel Patel, she is in ministry. Can you guess, based on her picture, can you guess how old she is? She is 77 years old. 77 years old, no experience whatsoever in real estate, other than buying her primary residence. Nothing, okay? She started wholesaling properties instead of renovating them. Wholesaling is a little different, okay? You earn less money, but there's no risk involved. And her first deal, within 6 months, she made $7,500. And I still remember, and her second deal, I remember, it was so funny. She was so excited about her second deal, then she said, Nhan, I got this deal. All the contracts have been signed. She signed over to us. She was going to make about $9,000 on her second deal. And she said, Nhan, I was so excited that I was doing my hair or whatever, I spilled all my coconut oil. And I said, coconut oil. So, I don't know much about cost. I was Googling coconut oil to see how much it costs. Like, oh my gosh, that's expensive for your hair, okay? So I said, how many ounces was it? Right. So she said she spilled the whole bottle. I was like, well, I felt bad. So what I did was increase her assignment fee from $9,000 to $9,500, all right? And so she made $500 more, and she got a chance to buy more coconut oil. But see, that's the type of people we are. We are not greedy, okay? So whatever was written in the contract, for me, yes, it's set in stone, but I say, you know what, this person did a good job. I think they should be incentivized to do more, but giving them more. Okay? So she's done additional deals since then. All right? Betsy Dimmick, she lives out of Reston. She's like the sweetest young lady. Well, let's see, young, but she is very timid. If you met her, you would never know she was there. She's as short as my wife, all right? And you would not know she's there. She took our boot camp. For 1 whole year, she did completely nothing. And here's the rest of her story. She approached me towards the end of her first year and said, Nhan, I didn't do much, and I don't know what's going on. I said, well, let's go have lunch together. Let's talk about it. She told me everything what was going on in her life. Her biggest challenge was not knowing how to deal with her marriage while doing real estate. Now, I'm not a marital counselor, but what I did tell her was this, okay? Maybe what we need to do is involve your husband. Because when you involve two couples together, two people in a couple together, you tend to accomplish things much faster and much easier than you fighting head-to-head at home, okay? Because third party, me, I'm not inside the marriage, right? Third party is more powerful than first party, all right? So it worked out, and the very following year, she did 3 deals. It's amazing. They did it together. In fact, every time we went to a property, the husband was there. She was so excited about coming now. Before he didn't really care for it, right? But now it challenged them. So she made over $125,000 in profits and has done deals independently since then without us, okay? So I share all those stories because they inspire us, because they make you feel that you can do this. Here's a couple of pictures of our property visits to show the students what we're looking for, so that way they get the experience of what to look for when you look at the property, all right? Here's a property in Manassas. Here's another one in Alexandria. So these are, every class we have a picture with different students. And of course, our class, we also have a lot of fun. Because without fun, you can't remember anything. We create an experience so that way you retain the information, okay? And I enjoy our classes so much because each time we have a class, it's very diverse. We have a very diverse crowd come out with all different backgrounds, and it comes, just like something like this. We have a great time, okay? So our office is in Fairfax, Virginia, and our training will be held there as well. There is limited seating because we're going to fit so many people in our class. So if you got more information, please make sure you visit the Fortune Homes booth in the thing. In fact, Valerie's over here. Can you wave your hand, Valerie? Okay, for those who haven't met her yet. But she's going to be helping answer any questions about our boot camp as well. And of course, you can visit our website to get some free training material as well on there. All right, are there any questions? Yes?
$1,500, how do you have to pay that?
You can pay by credit card all at once, or you can do an installment plan. Okay, so check, credit card, anything that's cashable. Okay, yes?
Do you plan to do any education in other states ever, like Texas, for example?
Potentially, because what we want to do is we'll have a market leader for each marketplace who know that market and plant them there, so that way the quality of service is the same as here. So that is the ultimate goal, but when we want to do that through our mentoring, our student base, so if there's students who want to move there and do something, they can, right? So that way the culture is the same, okay? The branding is the same. Yes? Another question? Yes?
Question. You show an example of cash flow
Yes.
from a rental versus selling and making profit. Which do you prefer or make more money at?
Well, you make more money with the rehabbing today, but long-term wealth, you make more money with rentals. So if you ask me which would I rather do, I'd rather do both. I'd rather do both. If you're going to do this full-time, might as well do both. It doesn't take that. By the way, that rental I shared, how long did it take for me to get that together? Exactly 20 hours. From the moment of meeting the seller to getting everything on contract and closing and setting up all the funding took approximately 20 hours. Okay? Yes?
So you have on your team managers who manage that property after you do the deal, right?
That's correct. For the rental property, yes. Yeah, so they place the tenant.
When you said you made this profit, that's after paying them to
Correct.
manage it.
All expenses have been paid. That goes to our company. So that means they collect the rent.
How long did it take you to figure out who can be a good manager and who's not?
Great question. Probably right around 2014, because when I was first part-time, I was doing a lot of things. Then when I went full-time, I got really ambitious. And then instead of vetting them properly in my first couple of years like I was supposed to, I just said, you know what, if you say you can do it, I trust you. But I didn't verify it, right? Because I got too ambitious too quickly, and I had too much time on my hand because I went full-time. So that was a downfall for me too. So I said, I got to keep myself busy. Let's do more deals that year. And so I had to get more contractors and more people and then keep them involved, but I didn't vet them properly like I should have. Okay? So now learning from that mistake in that 1 or 2 year span, now we've vetted people properly to be a part of our team. They have an agreed upon agreement with us to make sure they provide quality of service. They hold themselves responsible for what they're supposed to do. And if they're not, that it comes back to us. Okay? Yes, question?
Well, I was curious, was it hard for you to transition from being an engineer full-time to doing this? How
Great question. My wife asks me sometimes, do you ever miss going back to your job? And here's one thing one thing that helped me a lot with transitioning was that I remember the traffic I had to put up with. Okay? I mean, my last full-time job was going from Haymarket, which is where I live, all the way to Washington, D.C. And I had to drive at 4:30 in the morning before HOV kicked in for 66, because once it kicks in, there's a whole lot of traffic, all right? And I remember that. And all I got to do when I do my transition is like, would I rather do this until 9 o'clock, or when my kids go to school, or wake up at 4 in the morning to get into the car at 4:30? That helped me a lot. But with the discipline, though, of making sure I do productive things and not just stay busy with not make money, I had to learn to discipline myself and surround myself with other successful full-time people, right? So successful business people. And the law of association states that you become the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most.
That's right.
Right? So the 5 friends you hang around now, you have to ask yourself, what is their approximate income on an annual basis? Whatever it will be, add them up, divide by 5, that is your income, without fail. So who are you hanging around, right? Yes?
Okay, so if your students start in your class and go through your class, then you help them do their first deal. So they find a property, and then you go through the deal with all the finance and everything, and boom, like that.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. So that's a simplified version, but there's more detail to it, but yes. In other words, we don't leave them hanging. If there's a very good deal, right, we're going to tell them exactly how they should structure it. If it's a very bad deal, we're going to tell them why it's a bad deal and why they should either renegotiate it or walk away from it. Okay? Yep.
And then the funding part.
The funding part, yeah. So when we sit down, like if you enroll in a mentoring package, as an example, after the boot camp, then what we would do is take a look at your constraints, whether it be the budget, your time constraints, what your skills are, right? And they will assess what the best marketing strategy is based on those constraints, so that way you can get your first deal quickly. Our goal is to get your first deal done as fast as possible, based on what you already have with your natural born skills. Then once you make your first profit, you can reinvest into new things if you want to. My goal is to get you profitable, because once you get your first check, I mean, the belief level is there. You know you can do it, right? Yes?
When you, in your business, when you go to the bank on one of these deals, I understand in the old days, banks will loan on assets like that, no doubt about it. But the modern banking, after President Obama, with all the new
Dodd-Frank, yep.
The banks that I'm looking at, that I do business with, they want to see that I've got cash flow, or even if I've got millions of dollars of assets, they won't loan me a penny if I can't prove, with some business plan somewhere, that I have income.
Great question.
Do they?
So
Get around
traditional
that?
banks that are constrained by regulatory requirements, yes, that's required.
But do you have a way to get around that?
Absolutely. Anything that's not backed
So
by,
you don't have that problem.
we don't have that problem, because we don't look at Freddie Mac loans or Fannie Mae loans.
I'll throw
Okay.
something here. I'd give you the $1,500 just to learn that.
Well, there you go. Absolutely. We go into detail on how that works. Absolutely.
Because that's a problem.
It is a problem. Absolutely. And again, I don't like to use my own money, all right? And I also don't like to add things to my credit report, because when I add like my rental properties and they go on my credit report, it affects my debt to income ratio. I don't want that, right? So all my mortgages on my rental properties do not show up in my credit report. Okay? So there's a way to do that. Absolutely. Yes.
But the point is, the bank, they honestly don't ask you for, you have your entity that you run this whole thing through.
Yes.
They don't want to look at your books and see that you have income.
There's going to be certain things they want, but they're not going to ask for what traditional banks would require, right? So it's a commercial loan.
Because starting out, you wouldn't have any income.
Of course.
So that's
Exactly.
the bank if all they want to do is loan on the asset, that's that you can do that.
Well, there's requirements. Each bank does different things. So depending on where your situation is, like if you have really bad credit and you have completely no income, but yet your rental property is cash flowing, what we do is look at debt service coverage ratio, right? And also the underlying asset on what is appraised at. So there's many creative ways to walk around depending on the situation, right?
I see what you're saying, because the actual property may have income, and there's your income.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Why wouldn't they loan it? Because banks want to loan money. Would you agree? Give them a reason to loan you the money. And make sure it's not stocks or mutual funds. Yes.
Is location the highest criteria for acquiring properties?
Great question. In Northern Virginia, anything in the D.C. metropolitan area, location is very prime here. Now, if you go further west, like past where we live in Haymarket, past closer to Winchester, it's more blue collar. So houses do sit on the market longer there. But if you're closer to the Beltway, it will liquidate much faster. So the closer you are to the Beltway, the faster, the shorter hold time you'll have on the resale process.
So
If you're
how
rehabbing.
far is it past Haymarket? Is it
Probably Haymarket.
here?
Yeah, I would say most of Fauquier properties have septic and well. If you're gonna do your first deal, I wouldn't mess with septic and well yet. Okay? Yes.
Familiar with the Baltimore real estate market?
I am, and I'm smart enough to not go there because I don't live there. Baltimore is very unique, especially inside the city. One block, a same exact house, then the next block, same exact house, two different things. Because one is run by this, how do you say it, neighborhood watch or whatever. The other one, you know what I'm talking about, right? But the other neighbor, they may not have nothing there, right? But the same exact house, one will sell for $90,000, but one will not sell for $10,000. We don't get it. Unless you live there and understand the environment, you shouldn't invest there. Baltimore, like Houston, is very specific. How many here have been to Houston? Go to Houston. Would you agree that downtown is very disorganized? It almost looks like that they just dumped a whole bunch of dominoes and then whatever stands, right? It was not very good planning. It wasn't very good city planning, like Manhattan or so forth, right? Okay, so Baltimore is very similar to that. Okay, that's a great question.
So do you do any properties in Maryland at all?
I do. PG County, Montgomery County, and Anne Arundel,
Oh, okay.
and Charles County as well.
And on the management side, other than finding good tenants, maybe inspections, collecting rent, that sort of thing, what other things do you expect from your
Property manager?
team?
The property manager should take those calls at 2 in the morning when the toilet doesn't work. Okay, when the tenant's not paying, they should find a process to have an installment plan set in place. If there are some circumstantial things happening, right? They also have to do routine inspections to make sure that, like if it's an HOA, make sure the tenants are mowing the lawn, so that way you don't have an HOA violation, and so forth. So there's going to be random routine inspections they have to do, and they'll do all those maintenance calls. So that way you don't take the call. All you do is manage the manager.
Okay, and what percentage, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure.
Do you pay managers?
6 to 8% of the rent. Yep. And it's worth it. Worth every dollar. Okay.
628 or 68?
628. If it's 68, you're gonna fail. Come back to me. We'll renegotiate that. Now, the reason why I say 6 to 8, if you only have one property with that property manager, it's probably 8%. But you have like 10 properties with them, you can probably negotiate down to maybe 5 or 6%. Okay, because the more volume they have, the more revenue they have from you, they can charge you less. Okay, just like going to Costco, you buy in bulk volume. Same thing. Okay, you buy the big ketchup, you get a discount, right? Now let me ask you guys one more thing here. When you look at this boot camp here, I went to a lot of other opportunity meetings before, and my parents always told me to stay away from them, and they just didn't know any better about the American capitalistic culture because they were used to Vietnam. And I was told one time that Nhan, you can have a poor dad and a rich dad. You guys ever heard of that book? Yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Okay. So I had to say that my parents were school teachers. So they were the poor dad. Now I loved them, they loved me. But they only knew what they knew. Does that make sense? And my rich dad, I had to actually rich dads, plural, said, well, Nhan, poor is an acronym. The reason why people stay poor is because POOR. They pass over opportunities repeatedly. POOR. Okay? So if you do not want to stay poor, make sure you don't pass over opportunities repeatedly like this. Okay? And also, some people say, well, Nhan, I don't have the $1,500, I'm broke. Well, broke is temporary. Poor is eternal. Okay? You can fix things that's temporary. Would you agree? Okay? And a lot of people say, well, Nhan, I still don't have $1,500. I just said that. I said, okay. I say, well, let me ask you another question. Okay. And I said, well, let me ask you another question. What is your dream car? And they'll say what it is. They'll say the Range Rover or the Mercedes, the BMW, whatever. Okay, so what is the worth of that dream car? And most of it would be $70,000, $80,000. So I said, okay, if I told you in 2 weeks, all you have to do is come to me with $1,500, and I gave you keys to a brand new BMW titled over to you, would you have any problem finding $1,500? Now here's the disclaimer. You must not tell anyone at all that you're getting a BMW for free for $1,500. Could you raise $1,500 from now until then? Anyone have a problem with that? No. No one will have a problem. Here's why. Because you see the value instead of the price. So right now, if you don't see the value, the price will be a problem, right? $1,500 to make $50,000 per deal, is that a no-brainer? No-brainer, all right? The question is, do you want to do it or not? All right, any other questions? No other questions? All right, well, Pastor Jordan, thank you so much for this opportunity. For those who are on Facebook, please go ahead and like our Facebook page because we do have free training material on there as well. When we do events, we record videos and post them on there. So get educated, some free tips here and there for free, and then get to know us, okay? So thank you very much, Pastor Jordan. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.